Welcome back to the Pathfinders podcast with your host, Pete Schramm. Hey, everybody. We're going to dive into the career journeys of great people with exciting paths. Our conversation will align with the Pathfinders methodology and hit on some of the career maps of our guests, a representation of their professional journey, past, present, and future. We break this out into roles, skills, accomplishments, educational, and fun stuff, as well as the multiple people, not just one mentor, that help them along the way, their personal board of advisors. We call this the PBA. We're going to share this on LinkedIn and the other podcast platforms. Be sure to follow, share your thoughts in the comments as you listen along. Pressure is a privilege. Billie Jean King. This is Colton's favorite quote, and that's our guest today, Colton. He's the founder of Power Marketing Company, a full-scale digital marketing agency headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His day-to-day is dedicated to servicing their clients and being forward-facing representative for the agency. His background is quite extensive in media buying contributes to the campaign execution process on behalf of the businesses they work with. I think it's almost up to 80 now or something. Fun fact about Colton Hower, he led the NCAA in most hit batters per inning pitched. I wonder if that's a statistic or a record or something out there, but most hit batters. Let's go. Yes, he was a Division I baseball player. He pitched at UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, the Retrievers. Let's welcome Colton up to the stage. Hey, Colton, how are we doing today?
Hey, Pete, good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Are you still pitching?
I am not, and thankfully for the batters that I was facing, obviously, by the stat you leaned in with. But left my baseball days back at UMBC, and in Pittsburgh, I'm just focused on golf now. So,
all right. Well, we'll have to get out and hit some golf balls soon. It's been a pleasure meeting you over the last couple of months. And you ready to dive into what we're going to talk about in Pathfinders, some career map action, a little bit of amplifying your story?
Absolutely. Let's do it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, cool. So one of the first things we talk about in here is growing up. What would you want to be outside of a, malicious baseball player battering people?
Unfortunately, that was probably the answer. I was tunnel vision focused on baseball first and foremost. I went to UMBC hoping to continue to grow there, but also thought at the time that I would go the legal route and then potentially into law school until I fell in love with journalism and media. And once that passion kind of formed my freshman year there, really took hold and allowed that to kind of streamline into what I'm doing today and working in the digital marketing agency with Power. So.
Did you have any guides that were kind of helping you decide if you would go to the mound or go to the courtroom?
At the time, I think when you're a college baseball player and you're an athlete in any capacity there, all the coaches are trying to guide you there. They're trying to get you to reach your potential, So everybody thinks they're going to the bigs when you're playing at that level, and when you got a group of guys that are all motivated in the same way. Outside of that, from a professional side of things, I honestly was lost in college. Didn't know exactly which route that it was going to end up for me. With my passion for sports and my passion for journalism, as I alluded to, thought that sports writing may be the best pathway forward for that. So it was really kind of me learning and finding ways that I don't think I had any mentors there. But once I came home, graduated back in the Pittsburgh area got my first job, that's where it really started to take shape. And individuals became guides and mentors and really shaped me to where I am today, and very happy to be here. So.
Heck yeah. Welcome back. And hopefully the terrible towel was a consistent piece for you throughout. Fall into Ravens territory in any of those ways while down there. Did you learn anything in college that you still use in your job today? Any skills along the way, perhaps?
I would say the biggest thing was kind of a hunger and a work ethic, especially that could speak obviously to the athletic side of things too. But I really tried to immerse myself in doing as much activity as possible to prep my resume and be in the best position when I came back and came home. So I worked at even on top of the sports schedule. I loaded up on credits and actually graduated in 3 years and wanted to fast track that as well. So that was a huge overload or workload on my side of things. And I joined the school paper and joined other clubs and activities as well, so that I could kind of position myself best, knowing that I didn't know what I wanted to do, have no idea where the heck that could possibly go, at least try to prepare as best as I possibly could. But then multitasking in that regard and being as organized as possible to make sure I had all my ducks in a row there at that time, that absolutely helped me out of where I am today, and priding myself in organization and priding myself in being able to efficiently and effectively manage tasks, so to speak. So it helped me a ton on the personal side and personal growth, I'd say, of becoming a leader and becoming an individual in that capacity, but also from a tactical aspect and being hungry and wanting to work harder than others around me. So
Okay, so I wrote down your English class, your philosophy class, and your math class were the three most helpful ones. Time management, prioritization. We'll have to go back and see which textbook the professors used for that one. So you finish up school. You said, "All right, I bang some people up." What's your first job?
Yeah, so I came out and I applied like crazy, and honestly, didn't find a whole lot of success for a couple months, and ultimately landed a first position in a marketing agency based out of Pittsburgh called My BFF Social. So at the time, My BFF was a startup agency. I think founder Matt Gentili was 2.5 years into it. Had a handful of clients, and he had a really big background in the real estate marketing space. That it was almost like a niche agency at that time, given his circle and given who he was working with. That I got immersed in kind of real estate marketing, so to speak. And there, my title was account executive. And that kind of gave me really good exposure up front into social media marketing, public relations, media buying and advertising, and kind of what a full scale marketing agency would kind of dabble in across that ecosystem.
Okay. And were there some coaches at this point, or guides, or did the mentors start to come into your professional journey at this stage?
Absolutely, yeah, and Matt definitely being one of them. I was the first hire that he had, first full time hire that he was a great mentor in that regard, and kind of put my feet to the fire. He had a whole lot of faith in me and trust, and immediately immersed me in the day to day operations that helped me really flourish and grow. Like they have that old saying, obviously, you learn more in the first 3 days of work than you do in a lifetime of education in school. And I literally got to live that of just a week being immersed in what My BFF was doing, and the exposure at these businesses of all shapes and sizes and the services offered allowed me to get firsthand experience that helped me fast track my own professional development in ways that I could have never imagined or kind of studied up on. Outside of Matt as well, an individual that I still have a very, very strong relationship, David Soroti, was a client of ours at the time, came in contact with him, and he really took me under the wing because he has a college sports and athletic background as well, that we hit it off on the personal and passion side of things also, that he was able to really show me the ropes and push me to new heights there, in ways of other aspects of the industry or the agency landscape at large that I was never kind of expecting. So there were multiple individuals there. And then I also have a fantastic support system around me of friends and family that have always been the biggest cheerleaders and always rooted for me and helped me personally grow in aspects from a professional side of the thing and kind of pursue my aspirations, but also to keep pushing myself, become the best man and profession or person I could possibly be as a leader in that regard as well. So.
And I think the emphasis there is on family, right? You're very, very close with them. But hey, let's face it, you're not with My BFF anymore. What was job two? Where'd you go after that?
Yeah, so fortunately, job two is where I'm at today, and that's founding Power, which happened about 2.5 years ago. So I worked at BFF for about 5-ish years, and then made the jump and made the switch. And ultimately, the reason I did that is because on top of the services I learned and that exposure that I alluded to, I also found I had a really good knack for sales and a really good knack for connecting with individuals and just kind of cultivating relationships there. That all strives with business development, obviously. So I felt and had a little bit of confidence in myself that if I knew the tactical aspect of things, could bridge that with the gap of servicing and directly fostering relationships with these clients and these business owners, why not give it a shot? And why not go out on my own path and see where the heck I could take it? And very fortunately, we've been able to grow like a weed in 2.5 years and get to where we are, as you described a little bit in the intro. So I've been fortunate to not jump around a whole lot, but I also love the position that I'm in, love the position that Power's in, and think the best is yet to come. So.
Yeah, and you have a pretty stellar team out there. And yeah, I'll give a plug for your work and the team. It's been a pleasure not only getting to know you, but also working with y'all, Yins, over the last few months as well. So congratulations on that. So Power Marketing, but your last name's Hower. What the heck? Where's that come in?
and honestly, that's where it started. Is I've seen a lot of agency owners that have made the agency named after the last name and things like that, but I always resonated with Power, and I think it speaks a lot to kind of my personality too, of the work ethic and aggressiveness, as I like to call it, or hunger, as you'll hear me say a lot. And I think that kind of emulates Power. And my mindset with the brand was we could bring powerful marketing solutions to any business of shape and size. Whether you're a big behemoth with a powerful ad spend, of course we could generate an ROI for you all day long. But if you're a small mom and pop or startup, we can find cost efficient and custom solutions to help you grow there too. And in my mind, that's power. It's bringing the ability to market businesses of any shape and size, no matter where you are in your life cycle as a company, so to speak. And being able to truly attribute that back to growth, is that our business does not focus on vanity metrics, does not focus on fluff, as I like to call it. It's a little bit of that no BS marketing mindset. And that's kind of our version, or synonymous with power in our eyes. So
now, where's that favorite quote come into play here, right? Building the business, going through the exhilarating sports career. But where's that favorite quote come in, and what's that really mean to you?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked. And this quote does mean a lot to me. And honestly, I wish I knew and resonated this quote more in my college career, because it could have helped me out a little bit better. But I growing up, I was a very nervous individual. Even though I was able to succeed in athletics, like still when I was at UMBC, I was terrified basically of getting on the mound, which led me to being all those batters and have a pretty brutal career there, which I'm self-aware of. And obviously, I'm happy to acknowledge. But after leaving there, I found myself, when I was interacting with CEOs and founders of businesses, that I was still a little bit nervous getting into these meetings, and still a little bit shaken in terms of doubting myself in some capacities, but found a lot of success, as I described, and have a ton of success as it helped with the growth of Power and where we stand today. That as I look back, pressure is a privilege kind of comes back to the nerves that fear that I'm in a position where I feel nervous because I'm passionate about something and want to do it well, but there's others out there that would kill for that opportunity. People have the aspirations to be a Division I athlete all the time. I should have been telling myself that, rather than being worried of I was going to throw balls, or I was going to walk people or bean people and not perform for my team. If I could have shifted that narrative in my mind as an athlete, like I have been as a professional, to now I'm comfortable meeting with individuals of any shape and size, or any CEOs that are extremely successful. That the pressure aspect of every opportunity is really because you're fortunate enough to be in that position, and really you're fortunate enough to have the opportunity that others would really strive for. So flipping the script of kind of nerves and anxiousness, if you will, to look at it as this is an opportunity for me to prove to myself and show value to others, and keep working in the areas that I'm most passionate about. So it's a long-winded area to say I've been able to apply that quote to a lot of aspects of my life, proactively and moving forward, and retrospectively of kind of what I wish I would have done better in other instances from the athletic side of things, or even early on in my career, where some of those nerves, maybe I could have flipped the script and turned into some confidence and energy, if you will, that could lead to even more success or fast-tracked my growth to where I am today. So
There's a book by Dan McGinn called Psyched Up, and I'll probably mention it on a lot of these different podcast episodes, where it talks about your mindset and how you prepare and go into each of those big moments. What does an anesthesiologist do before he goes into surgery? What did Kobe Bryant do before he shot a free throw? What does Malcolm Gladwell do before he sits down to write? And so how do you harness that? And then the other side of it is, how do we make diamonds, right? It's a lot of pressure, and it turns out to be, over time and being persistent and consistent, it turns into something very, very valuable. So I think you're on to something here, and it's very exciting to see this and be part of it. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming next. So you put together your career map coming into this. We talked about a couple of the people on your personal board of advisors, but let's talk about some of the future, knowing that this can be broken up into jobs, skills, accomplishments, education, starts, and some of that fun stuff as well.
Yeah. So with my future, kind of my vision is obviously continuing to evolve and scale Power. And the role and kind of responsibility, job title I have will hopefully stay the same, but I want to really build out our team and build out a foundation of our team that we can grow and scale rapidly moving forward. We've been able to add 80 clients in 2.5 years, with over half of those actually coming in the last 12 months as well. So I want to continue on that trajectory. And how we do that, in my mind, is making sure I become the best leader possible. I'm learning to delegate better, stay as organized as possible, ensure that our team is operating as highly effective and as efficient as possible. Where I come with a background, obviously, from the personal side and business development side, that's all about cultivating relationships. In my mind, I've had to shift gears there to make sure that we're focused on the financial elements of winning out on margins and making sure that we're producing and our tactics are as efficient as possible, so that we're actually generating revenue from all of these efforts and the relationships we're building. So in terms of the skills that I'm looking to develop, it would be to become the best professional leader I possibly can, the best CEO I can, and everything that comes along with that, from a personal aspect aspect of growth, as well as the financial mentality and understanding of sharpening my skills there and making sure we're sharpening our skills as it relates to marketing operations as whole with the constant evolving landscape that our industry has to offer. So really from a very high level, it's scaling the business and scaling myself to be able to accommodate for that.
Any kind of milestones or accomplishments? Are we going to try and add another 40 in the next 8 months this time or something? Continue the acceleration?
That's the goal. If I had to give you a hard, smart goal that we've set is to reach 100 clients by the end of this calendar year. So we're trending in that regard, obviously, as I alluded to, what we've been able to accomplish in the first 7 months or so of this year. And I'm hoping that we hit that century mark here at the end of 2024. Beyond that, I would tell you that I'm hopeful to be very, very ambitious there in 2025, as I think that would be a great pinnacle mark, and that would kind of solidify in me and our team's eyes that we've done this and we were able to conquer a goal. Let's set the bar even higher and see where 2025 could bring. So yeah, that's absolutely the hope.
Hey, we're right there with you. We're looking forward to growing with you. What about education and certifications? We talked with some marketing leaders from a large tech company just a few days ago, and there are a couple of marketing certs out there, but is there anything that's specifically on your career map that you're looking at? Maybe it's another degree, maybe not. You have a lot of moving pieces right now. And I might also suggest certs and education that you put on the career maps for your team members as well. So you kind of get a two-part question here.
Absolutely. So to start with the latter part of that question, that's where I kind of think the big focal point would be an actual certification deliverables. Is so Meta and Google are huge in our business and in our models because we're doing a ton of ad buying across both of those platforms. Both of those networks offer really good certifications of learning the nuances of their channels and all that they have to offer on an organic side and a paid side of the marketing landscape. So I'd want all of our new hires and all of our active team members to go down the path of prioritizing those and becoming certified in what those networks have to offer and basically know those like the back of their hand. In my position, I also feel like I need to be on top of that as well and make sure that both of those networks are actively evolving. I mean, if you're an active user of Facebook, you probably think it changes on a week-to-week basis. So me being that being a main platform of our business, I have to make sure I have my finger on the pulse of everything they're doing there too, that I'll make sure I readily stay on top of that. But then for me personally, AI is obviously a huge buzzword, a huge trend in business at large, but obviously in the digital marketing world, that I want to make sure that I'm staying as up to date as possible on everything that's evolving and growing there and how we might be able to weave that into our operations, that even though that may not speak to a direct certification for becoming AI certified in digital marketing, that's still where a ton of my research and a ton of my evaluation is going to be going into on a month over month basis moving forward, and making sure that any areas of opportunity that may be present there, we're naturally integrating with our day-to-day activities as well. So.
All right, good luck, and excited to see what comes. It'll be fun to kind of observe how the industry continues to change and evolve and grow. Right,
Yeah.
lots of moving pieces. You called that out for sure. So there's always these moving pieces, a lot of stuff happening. How'd you make time for interacting with some of the mentors and taking time to step back and, assess your own personal growth and scaling? You mentioned David on there. I think Matt was another person. There's probably a few others, but how do you make time for all this stuff?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it, honestly, would be in large part thanks to you and the concept that you brought to the table with the PBA and making me think about my relationships in a better form on a day-to-day basis. And fortunately, like when I devise my personal board of advisors, a lot of them I do business with on a day-to-day basis. So being able to have consistent touch points there where, yeah, maybe we have a 30-minute conversation, and the first 10 minutes is catching up on a client and the actual marketing activities there of how me and my team are servicing them. But the back half of that is usually catching up and usually building those relationships on a personal basis as well, which again is something I very much pride myself in. And that's for my day-to-day role and responsibility, especially as we continue to grow Power. That is the day-to-day activity that I want to always have as 1A on my docket, is interacting with business owners, interacting with people around me in my sphere, and having that personal interactions compared to anything on the tactical or execution side of things. So outside of David, like other individuals is like my buddy in that sense of the PBA would be like Mike Dokmanovich, who happens to be a client of ours as a CEO of Tap and Pay Plus. But I talk to Mike about once a day, if not every other day, about everything.
I hear that, man.
So in instances like that, and I could go through my entire list of the PBA of all those individuals that I try to make sure I'm talking to, if not on a daily basis, on at least a weekly basis, and making sure that we're staying top of mind, and I can be there for them the same way that they've been here for me, and helps me grow to where I am. And I know they'll be here long term to help me continue to grow.
So we have a lot of good structure in there. And you gave a little bit of an alley-oop there. You're a baseball guy. I'm a basketball guy. So thanks for that one. You got to hop into the technology coming into the platform, Latitude's Career Companion, and you put together a little bit of your career map and personal board of advisors. How do you think this might have helped if you had this kind of technology earlier on in your career?
Yeah, so I think the one way it would help is to prioritize the relationships that you have, and make sure that you are surrounding yourselves with individuals that can help you grow from a personal growth side of things, a professional growth side of things, but also like in my role as an executive, and others out there that would be in similar positions. The all famous quote of "It's all about who you know" truly resonates. And if you think about surrounding yourself with people that can help you grow in a professional aspect and help you achieve the aspirations you set out as a child, all the way to where you are in the early stages of your career, and then prioritize those relationships on top of it, could help fast track everything. I'll tell you that when I first started off in the early days with the marketing landscape and with Power, I was very much like a head down approach, just work my tail off and keep my head down and see where this grows, because that was leading me to success. Well, now with where I'm at, like taking a step back, I wish I would have been more focused on networking. I wish I would have been more focused on putting myself out there beyond just my general circle, if you will, and seeing where that could go. And if that would have woven in new individuals that I never would have interacted with before. You're kind of a perfect example in that regard, is that we're kind of on the precipice of working alongside one another, or met each other just a few months ago. But both being Whippeal athletes, Pittsburgh kids, born and raised, if I would have been more active in a networking aspect or trying to build out a personal board when I just came out of college, would we have crossed paths earlier and could have led to a lot more fast-tracked growth, so to speak, like we're seeing now. And that's one thing that this overall effort and mindset and reading the Pathfinders book really opened my eyes to.
Well, I appreciate that. And we met now, didn't meet sooner, but we can still do a lot of great things together. Colton, let's migrate into the quick answer question phase of the show here. Just a short response from you. Book that you recommend others read.
48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, or by Robert Greene. Sorry. So that nothing to do with the brand, nothing to do with why we called Power the way it is. It's just a natural coincidence. It's my favorite book of all time.
Nice. Best professional advice you ever received?
Would have came from my father-in-law, John Santanastasa, who's a McDonald's franchisee. He said, build the bench to where you want to grow. Don't build your bench based off of need. So basically proactive with your people rather than reactive. And every time you grow, feel like you got to add somebody else on because you're up to your head and work and what you have on your plate. And if you build that bench proactively, then it can really help fast track scale and be on the right foundation that you can work upon, obviously, as new opportunities arise.
I love it. We already talked about your favorite quote, but we'll ask the last one here of one of the coolest, day one gifts or experiences on a job or in a job. I know you've only been in, sports, my BFF, and now, Power, but what's something that you've seen, observed, done, or maybe wish to do?
Yeah, so on the sports side, obviously gear day is the best day. That happens on day one. But outside of that, I haven't had a professional experience where there was kind of a welcome package, if you will, from an onboarding side. But again, now kind of understanding this and understanding the landscape and seeing the importance of people, something that we're definitely going to be implementing at Power, and want to make sure that if you ask one of my team members this question 5-10 years from now, they're given the answer of what Colton and the Power leadership team gave them on day one. So.
Yeah, and a copy of Pathfinders. Great response there. I'm with you entirely. Okay, so as we wrap up here, Colton, I'll give you a chance to share a closing thought that you might want to communicate and provide to the community of listeners here.
Yeah, so in terms of From a closing thought side of things, what I'd say is the number one thing that resonates with me is kind of is confidence. As I kind of alluded to of my personal journey prior, is if there's anything that I've seen really elevate individuals and professionals, it's having the confidence and belief in yourself, belief in your model, belief in kind of your aspirations, and that you'll be able to attain those. So from a personal side of things, that's exactly where I'd leave it. And then you've heard me talk a ton about fostering relationships and surrounding yourself with people around you that can push you to be the best individuals you possibly can. And I'm very fortunate and that I've been able to do that and feel like the best is yet to come, and hope that everybody else can emulate that by prioritizing the elements like we're talking about today. So
Perfect. Everybody, thank you very much for listening up to this point. Please follow Colton, reach out and share a thought or a takeaway, or if there's a story that resonated with you. Colton, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick recap here as we get ready to drop off. But power from pitching and pressure is really what I caught from this. Baseball versus legal and journalism. And the coaches were some of your first guides. Time management and prioritization was so valuable as you're going through that athletic career that you then transition into My BFF Social. So thanking mentor Matt early on, and then David for his helpful advice and really blending together that personal and passion side. And it was cool how you went from client to mentor and how you continue to interact and engage with those people on your PBA. And knowing that pressure is a privilege, right? Making those diamonds and scaling the business in order to scale yourself. So cheers to the Century Club and what's coming soon. You touched on some of how the tech is helpful, prioritizing relationships to accelerate personal and professional growth, and a little bit of structure is there. And then it kind of all culminated with, confidence is key, especially when we build our bench for who we want to be, not where we are today. So Colton Hower from Power and Pittsburgh, thank you very much for your time today on Pathfinders, navigating your career map with a personal board of advisors.
awesome. Thank you, Pete.